Yeah, welcome. Nice to see you here in this talk. I know there are a lot of talks about EclipseStore. So the first question I have to ask, who is familiar with EclipseStore? No one? Yeah, really few. Okay. Yeah, there's the colleagues from Microstream. I'm not a Microstream guy. You see it here. I'm from a different company. But 2 years ago, I was at the JCON and I heard of EclipseStore, and that was for me an eye opener. Maybe it will be the same to you. Maybe, hopefully. So EclipseStore, then it's more interesting for you even. I have a few slides about the technology itself and the database, and then we can talk about this. So my name is Miroslav Grgić. Please call me Mickey when you meet me here later at the beer or whatever. Come to me and ask, especially questions. You can use this QR code from Slido now, and you can sum up your questions, and we can go later through these questions. Yeah, let's start the meeting with an unusual question. What is the best car? So why is talking about cars? So what is the best car? And what comes next is that you can guess it. We would always say it depends. Yeah. Of course, the Rimac cars you saw on the first slide, Croatian car manufacturer, hypercars, very expensive stuff and very fast, a lot of records. But for this purpose, when the Croatian team comes back to Croatia from some competition, this was the best car for this purpose. And what we have to ask ourselves, especially it's a talk about EclipseStore database and so on, is what do we really need? And then we come to the question, what is the best database for Java? So a lot of people know, so hey, SQL, NoSQL, yeah, maybe also Java-based databases are maybe in your head, and all of you guys surely used a few of them. And what we are facing is that Java in database is not really cool, and I will show later in the next slides why it is so. So there's no really, I wrote it here, no roads to happiness. Why is it this? Because we have Java in databases, we have three main pains. It's the modeling, the data types, and the querying or questioning or whatever, when you're fetching data from the databases. Modeling pains. So what is with the SQL database? So when you think about our business demands and our requirements and entities that we have in real life and so on, we try to put them on the SQL side, we try to put them in a two-dimensional table, yeah, like Excel. No? And it is. No? SQL, you can say maybe it's Excel on steroids, something like this. So everything what we have, we try to put in columns and rows and think about how can we do this? And in the Java ecosystem or other ecosystems also use something like an ORM, so object relationship mapper, where you have in your language some kind of object and try to put it into SQL. Not better is JSON, and maybe from the history, who invented the JSON? It was not a Java guy, it was the web guys invented it. They needed some kind also of structure and so on. And they were thinking, yeah, okay, let's invent something like JSON that we can handle it in our web application and so on. But it became popular for NoSQL database. Of course, other formats are possible. You know it. Can do everything in a NoSQL database. But JSON was the main format. And also, I see here the same pain. You have a business model. You have a customer entity or whatever. You have something in your mind, and you have to think about, how can I put this into JSON? Yeah. And then it comes to this one on the right side where you say, okay, I have something, I have a SQL, I have a NoSQL, I have to think about, I call it fake it till it works. So you're thinking about relations and so on and foreign keys and try to model this. The next pain is the data type pain. So Java and all the other databases do not have data types that fit, that are not identical. So on the SQL side, yeah, you have stuff like date, time, array, now also JSON and other crucial things, and but it's limited. Yeah. So in SQL we have varchars and of course Boolean and so on. And what SQL offers is schema-based. This is normalized and so on, and you have relationships between tables, not really tables, two-dimensional tables, but it's not really, that makes me not really happy. NoSQL, there are different variants of NoSQL databases. No? So you have a, also you can do a two-dimensional thing with column graph databases, key value, store, document. But everything what you have, you try to put into one of these database types. I wrote here schemaless to provocate a little bit. Of course, with JSON you can create schemas. That's okay, no? But you have to share the schemas and so on. But normally this is the normal stuff, especially when you say, okay, that's right, easy to change. You can just put anything into a key value store if you have no schema and someone has to consume it correctly. No? So, but you see here, no, especially for JSON, there's no date format. Yeah, so JSON is a string, and it has to be interpreted. No, is it offset in there? Is it just a time? Is it date? Is it daytime? What is it? Is this timestamp? Yeah. And on Java side, when we check our data types, we see that our ecosystem is totally rich of data types that we have. Just a few examples, of course, no? Datetime and so on, strings, we have primitives, okay, but we have maps, vectors, and so we have a lot of stuff that the other systems like SQL and NoSQL does not represent, no? And does not offer us a smooth interaction. Yeah? The next pane are the queries. So this left side is in SQL example. I think you all wrote, or the SQL guys here surely wrote something like this. You're fetching from a few tables, have relationships, so foreign keys. You're trying to join them, left outer join, right outer join. Wow, what a lot of join stuff. You're grouping. You have, of course, an order by. You're limiting. Bam, but it's not really sexy. No, and I saw a lot of Java code where people write native queries. Although you know all the stuff we're using in the Spring Boot world, especially, there are repositories where you could do it smoothly. But sometimes they fail and say, "Oh shit, I cannot do this with the default interfaces. Let's implement a native query." Ugly, totally ugly. You know it. NoSQL has also some elegant queries you can do. Here's an example. No, give me a BMW car. Where the max speed is great. Yeah, okay. No, it looks nice, but there are different technologies behind the graphs, graph databases, documents, key value. You have to find your right way and to learn how to interact with this. With Java is it different. No? When we think about Java and you have a collection like here in the upper corner where you say, okay, I have the collection, I will stream about it, I can filter, I can map, no? I can sort, I can do everything what I want. And the same is also with data manipulation. So no, in SQL you have to write an update or whatever on an entity, on a record, and in Java you are just calling pure Java methods. This comes to the point that I'm a friend of this here. Make architecture decisions as late as possible. Often we are struggled or forced by someone who says, okay, let's implement a backend service in Java, Spring Boot, Quarkus, whatever, and let's use a Postgres. And then you are thinking in this Postgres world, you are already again in the SQL stuff. But what would be when your software architect comes to you and says, let's implement a backend service, pure Java, in memory. So no H2 database in memory, yeah? No hybrid, no JPA. Just saying, hey, how would you implement this if you do not have to take care now about the database technology? Just do it in Java. And then we come to a point, this is now the switch over to the domain-driven design thinking, and this famous guy, you know it all, the thinking about do not think about technology at the beginning, start with your customer journey. You can when you talk to your customer, and this is the domain-driven approach, is to say, okay, stay in the world of the customer. No? Design things like the customer is thinking about this. Use the wording of the customer. I have a customer, the Deutsche Bahn, and then we use Deutsche Bahn wordings, and we do not translate these Deutsche Bahn entities like Bahncard or whatever. So keep this world, stay in this world, because it is easier for you to discuss with the customer when you're talking about, okay, Bahncard is now Reisebegleitung, even no? When you translate Reisebegleitung into something English, and you have to discuss about this English variant of Reisebegleitung, I don't know it, then you struggle. No, talk with the customer about Reisebegleitung, yeah, and think about what is the Reisebegleitung and so on and so on, yeah. So let's stay in the customer's world, understand his needs, and design the stuff, no. And here I'm mentioning some common domain-driven design patterns. Maybe you saw it, maybe not. It's not a full list. It's just the stuff here I used for this presentation. I will later show a small demo fetching up some of the stuff. So, very important in the domain-driven design is bounded context. Yeah, separate the apartments of a customer, or by processes or whatever. Yeah, so we have here bookings, marketing, and payments. They have all their people that are working there. They have their processes, and believe me that when you have a customer in bookings, for the bookings guy, a customer is something different than a customer for the marketing guys. And also related to the data that you need. No, you need different data for a booking, for a customer. So you need a different object. But for marketing, what do you need? First name, last name, mail. Is this enough? And a Boolean that says to you, yeah, okay, send me a newsletter monthly, yes, no. Yeah, true, false. Yeah. Separate the bounded context. And then have you something like ports and adapters. Okay, you as a marketing guy, I'm offering my interface. No, the port is nothing that we would say in Java is an interface. It's saying here, this is possible with my data, with my bounded context, what you can do with me. And the same on the booking side. Yeah, you have an adapter, use it. It can be a REST client, whatever, or implementing the interface, calling the interface, and so on. Anti-corruption layer is interesting because, or in use cases where you have two bounded contexts and you want to build a bridge or communication or whatever, but all of them should keep their domain under their control. Yeah, so the bookings guys do not want the example of a few minutes ago. So if you have a customer in bookings and a customer in payments, you do not want the same data. Maybe the entity looks different, yeah, and you do not want that one bounded context manipulates your stuff. No, this is the pattern of the anti-corruption layer. Repository is easy peasy. This is the most popular, maybe. Yeah, without persistence, the world does not exist. And then you have entities, the real business entities. So you have a room, a guest, an employee. In every business bounded context, this means something and it has a value. It has its attributes and so on. Then you have value objects. This is data that are created during processing. Yeah, when a booking happens, a payment emails happens, bam. Yeah, and then you have the aggregate. That is the wrapper about such kind of process, like a booking, which has then a combination of entities, value objects, and so on. It's depending on the business case. And you have something like domain events. I also put in here because it's possible not just to using the adapter port stuff to talk with each other. It can also be possible that, I don't know, the payments guy inform that, or the booking guy say, hey, the booking is confirmed. And then of course, an event is created and the marketing guys and the payment guys can react on this. Yeah, so independently, asynchronously, and so on and so on. So when we have this mindset of we're not thinking about technology, we have business first, and how to find a database that fetches this. And surprise, no? Okay, you saw the title. It's EclipseStore. And for those, and I saw there were not so many hands, Persistence Store, the EclipseStore is a persistence framework implemented in Java and for Java, and includes directly the database. And this is, we will see it later in the code. Every Java object that exists there lives in an object graph and can be accessed on different ways. Let's go deeper into EclipseStore. So what you see here is, and you see it here, that the EclipseStore is part of your running application. Yeah, so part of the microservice that they're running. So you see here, no, of course the JVM, don't have to talk about this. You see the EclipseStore as a layer, and you see the object graph. Where is your domain model? I will show it later. And of course, up there, okay, business logic, I will show it also how I implemented this for this use case for this conference. But what is important here is the communication between, the persistence is happening through an Eclipse. They have implemented their own serializer, everything in Java, who is then responsible to store this stuff in, and you will be surprised. Okay, you will not be surprised. The most common stuff is to write the stuff into plain files, in a file system, network storage or whatever. You can do it. I've never seen it. I have to ask the MicroStream guys if they ever done it. You can also persist the stuff, so the whole object graph also in a relational database. NoSQL, okay, could also be done. Blob is, I think, a very strange use case. I think no one would do this. So, and because EclipseStore is part of your running application, and I will show it at the end when I'm doing a little bit load testing, see that the queries that are you're doing it are very, very fast. Why not? Because everything is in memory. I told you, we are thinking about the Java application. We are putting all the model into model classes and so on, and everything is there. And then you start with EclipseStore, who's fetching the stuff from the file system. And then everything is in memory. And everything what you do, you're doing directly into the memory. And that's the reason why it's very fast. And because RDS or databases are very expensive on the cloud, you have really a great cost reduction on EclipseStore because you're using just a file system. And you will see it later, higher productivity, Java native. It is in Java, it stays in Java, it's not leaving Java. So now I will switch to a very simplified application. It is totally fictional. I've never worked for a hotel, never had to customize a hotel. So forgive me if something processual does not work. But at the end of the day, what we have a main root domain. This is the hotel, And this is how I was thinking about this. Okay, I have a hotel with its attributes. We'll see it later. Here's two booleans. On a boolean and with a method, then it has a list of bookings, a list of rooms, a list of guests, and a map of payments. I will describe why I put a map. So this is how it looked like. This is a hotel, how it feels for me, can be, but I have not done any event storming or whatever with the customer to talk about this. Is this correct, this business model? But okay, this is my world. And you see here's a booking, you will see a guest, and of course a booking consists of a room. You need a room, you need a from and to date, you need guests, the more the better, and you have a room that has prices and so on and so on. As you see, every of these entities, business entities, have their attributes. And now we will switch to the code, and hopefully you will see it nicely. Okay? Good. Okay. I know the most guys here are familiar with Spring Boot and so on. Yes, okay. How did I separate the application? You see here my packages. There it begins. API. Yeah, okay. We have REST controllers. I implement the REST controllers. I will show. Have a few calls later on these controllers. Nothing special. They're injecting. You can imagine some service class and so on and so on. Yeah, nothing special. Here you have the booking controller. It uses the booking port, and you can fetch all bookings and create a booking. Nothing special. Using here the port. And really nothing special. So a few REST stuff. Okay, API. Haken dran, we say in Germany, so checked. And we have some exception handling. Okay, not important. What is more important for me was the design of the domain. And then you see here my representation. So I started with the hotel as my root domain object. This is my domain. I can hide this. So, and you see here my hotel. It has a name. It has a boolean for accepts credit cards, yes, no. It has this constructor. And it has the rooms, the guests, the bookings, and the payments. And what you else see here is a pattern I like, is to say, okay, this is a hotel. And if I have business functionality for my hotel, I put it in the source code, in the entity directly. So I implemented a method. And there's a method for the hotel that says, is handicap friendly, true, false. He's streaming over the rooms, and this is what we're using. We're just going iterating here over the collection and checking if they are if they have true or false. In this case, should be true, and we are counting, and that's it. So I have a hotel, and I have a method, and I have data in there that came from my mind. I say, okay, I need rooms, blah, blah, blah. And as sexy as this is also the test you can write. I will go into test maybe later, but you see here, no magic, it's just JUnit. You're creating this hotel, and then so true should be true, because it's initialized here with instantiated with a true. And then here the use case you're creating, there's a helper methods below there, believe me. So the source code, you will also get access to it. They will be shared at the end of the speak. And I create 3 rooms. All of them are handicap friendly, yeah. And creating 3 rooms, and then just calling this method. When this method then represents exactly this. So I do not have any kind of hotel service class, hotel utils BAM class. No. I need here the information, and here I have the information because I'm already in the object, and I can check it. And whatever stuff you are doing with this object, we will see it later with in collaboration with EclipseStore. But everything what you're doing happens with this object. We can access here. I added some getters here. Sorry for Lombok, I was a little bit lazy, so sometimes I'm losing Lombok. I know the disadvantages and the advantages, but here's for me easier to write less code for you guys. And I can access this collection, I access this, and you can imagine, and I can show it later, how you could add a booking or a room. It's easy peasy. Like it is in the like I did it in the test, accessing the object hotel, getting the collection of the rooms, the list, and adding a room. Bam, that's it. Yeah, makes it really, really simple. And here's no Eclipse on it. This is pure Java. Not thinking about technology, still pure Java. And then I was thinking, okay, I have these rooms, guests, and so on, and we can switch through them. And you see, the room has a UUID. Yeah, but a bit. Okay, here's a little bit technology. We need it later. You can guess it. When I create a room, I have this entity. I would like to access it directly. Yeah, then of course the technical key made sense. Okay, here's a little bit technology. Please forgive me. Yeah, but here the other stuff. I just put different data types in it. So also things that does not make sense, but just to show you what is possible. So UUID, string, big decimal, and primitive, Boolean primitive, then a map, and bed size is a string. So an enum. So I can do everything what I can do in Java, and this is how then also the implementations look like. So if I want to know for this room entity how many guests are there or can be in this room, I do not have the same pattern like with a hotel. I do not have util service blah 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 classes that does the magic. No, it's a room entity that decides how many guests it can have. You have here the constructor. Was there a constructor? No, it's a builder pattern. Okay, now using the builder pattern, yeah, I know the disadvantages. But when I create the room here, let's check in the test. When I create the room, I defined how many square meters it has. And then it calculates on its own how many guests it can accept. Yeah, I put it directly here. Why different? And you can imagine that the unit test is totally easy. Yeah, here you have the room, you're building the room, and then you're checking it, and you're adding bed sizes, and I don't know. You can assert that, then calculate max number of guests. You create a room flora with some square meters. The price is not relevant for this test. And you see that the maximum number of guests can be 3. Really easy. I hope you see it the same way. So and for guests also, yeah. So I have a guest, attributes, and here I'm implementing what is needed. So I'm talking with the customer and I'm saying, hey, okay, you are in Germany. Is the one allowed to drink alcohol? He said, well, yeah, if he's 18 or older. When I'm going to US, this would be my business logic change. Well, of course, you could do environment variables or whatever and check, hey, you're in the US, okay, raise it to 21. But here's my business logic. So directly in the entity, nothing I repeat myself, no utils and so on. Put it the information here, and you guess it. It is really easy testable, no? And this is children, and define it here, and has valid data. You can implement here everything. I will show you later for the booking also a check for validity and fullness. You see, I have not even implemented. I was too lazy, but bam, or not using the method. But everything regarding the guest, you can ask your customer, and he will tell you what you have to implement, and you can do it here. No, it depends, of course, if there's a correlation between a guest and a room and a booking. I don't know. You would not implement it here. Then on a different level, of course, where you have access to the entities, maybe on the hotel. Yeah, here you have all the stuff. No, here you can fetch stuff from rooms and guests, and check. Here you could implement a method like, how many guests booked the room, I don't know, Flora, in the last 2 weeks? You could implement it directly here. No? And then you call the hotel with this method and you get it. No? So we couldn't do also a lot of refactoring and so on and putting somewhere else. But I would like to give you the idea of how easy it would be if we follow this pattern for, no? So staying in the customer's world, thinking about the customer and using the stuff. And yeah, okay, no, I don't know, is it interesting, but the booking looks a little bit different. Local date, and you can do everything. You know, you're not limited. This is with the data types. I can do everything here. I'm not thinking about here, oh my God, how will the local date will be mapped into a MongoDB or a Postgres or Oracle DB? Ah, pain. No, for me, it's a local date, no? And I just use it. And you can do, of course, offset stuff and so on. So you're not limited, no? I'm not limited. Here's a valid method, yeah? So I implemented it simply in the object. Yeah, it's valid. You get a booking. You want minimum 2 days, and then you say you check the guests, check the room, then you check is after. No, so from and to. No, it should not be vice versa. And then you check if the days between from and to is blub. Sorry, and that's it. No, that's my check. And of course I can make it more complicated and so on. I can but here's for me the place to check if a booking entity I have in my domain object graph, is it valid or not. So when we see this, I would like now, okay, and a little bit domain-driven stuff. So what I else did with the stuff, and it was not needed, you know it, no? But I separated a little bit the booking stuff. So when you have a look on the, whatever was it, this? Yeah, here the booking stuff, I don't know, the access to the stuff and what is allowed. I was thinking about this adapter port stuff. You could also call this different, but I said, okay, everything what is happening or should happen to a booking is something incoming, no? And here defined my interface. I said, okay, get all bookings, get booking, and of course, no, you're totally flexible. So, but this is a port that other domains should use. Outgoing the same. So I have here a guest adapter. So when the booking is talking with the guest, boom, do we have it here? And okay, you do not have it here in this bounded context, but imagine he's talking with other bounded contexts that you say, okay, the guest adapter that you then implement uses a guest port and uses a feature of the guest port. So get all guests, find by, find last, name, and so on and so on. No, you're not limited. So, but what is important here is the guys from the guest bounded context. They have the control about their bounded context, and they offer you stuff or not. They could even avoid this. I was also thinking this morning, but I would not like to change the source code this morning, although I have tests, is to say, okay, I'm not giving you the power to give me a guest entity. Just give me maybe just a first name, last name, and the birthday, and all the other stuff I will mention for you. No, and so here, here the guest bounded context loses a little bit of control because he, in my case now, how I implement it, I'm accepting everything. This should not be. This should be in the ownership of the guest bounded context, not the UID, the technical keys. No? So you can blame me, but we can change the source code in a session later or how you like. So I would not give so much power. No? Here we could do a to-do. Too much power for the users of this interface. Yeah, I will change it. Oh, yeah. Let's do a fix me. Yeah, too much power. Okay, this I will refactor later. Yeah. So incoming, outgoing, and so on, and you see that here's outgoing some adapters, and later on I will come to the database adapter. But what else do we have? We have a booking. Okay, you saw the object already, so it is in its domain. Yeah. And then a booking event I created. I can using here some Spring Boot magic to publish and subscribe. Here's the event publisher. When the booking happens, that he published this event. Implement some rules and so on, and he's also a listener for different bounded context. So here I have implemented a listener that checks if if someone else publishes something. I think I have also a very ugly image that I created yesterday. So you can imagine you have bookings, rooms, pricings, all of them have some ports and adapters you're using, and the booking creates a booking event. No, sorry for this image. I'm not so the designer guy. Yeah, and this is how I organize it. So a domain, I was thinking about, okay, it's a domain, everything regarding booking should be here. And this should be really here. You talk with your customer and put everything into the booking. And the same with guest. Yeah, the same guest. I have here implement the guest pod. You saw it. I was a little bit too open. And of course, here's the entity. No? Here's the address entity. It's also used in the guest. No? And of course, you can do here more magic. You could also implement here some check methods and so on. And the postal code, this will not work everywhere. I know it. Something like this. No? Be more flexible. And so on, or here, no validations, and you have okay, the guest service of it later, but no, here is everything regarding guest. Here's everything regarding payment. No, the payment, here the publisher and so on. Also has some info stuff. And for the pricing, I thought, okay, I have to implement something to show you something, and I implemented something like this. So I was thinking about, okay, maybe you have really the guys, the selling guys, I don't know, they need their bounded context, and here's a method implemented this that tells you, okay, the price, so it's the entity of a price that exists in our ecosystem. It's bounded also to a booking, and here you say, okay, no, do we have to? Does the customer has to pay more than the default price? I can show it to you. So the room has a default price. I know it is there. So this is the default price when you create your book entity. No, it has its default price, and here you can raise it up, no, during Christmas time. So now we have. You said how I implemented my idea of a domain-driven design. Yeah, followed a few of these principles. Let's check again. So I created entities. You saw the price. The price is for me a value object. It's an immutable. When it's once created, it is created. Yeah, or the payment. No, don't change it anymore. No, and so aggregates. I saw the domain events. You see the publish, subscribe. You can see it in the source code. But now we come to the repository. Yeah, hey, EclipseStore. Now after half an hour, I have to hurry up. We come to EclipseStore, and how have I implemented this? If you come to the colleagues of Microstream, they have their implementation. I have my implementation. My implementation is I created a repository, yeah, as an own package. Is not needed. You could put it everywhere how you like. You could also, as an idea, having storages for every of these domains. It's up to you, yeah. But I will show you the storage. So it's very, very simple. Yeah. This is what you have to need here. Let me check the dependencies. So you have the embedded store manager. Maybe I could switch fastly here. So the only dependency you see, I'm using this here. There are also some other I saw yesterday, embedded storage, embedded configuration stuff. There's a nicer factory. I don't know. I have not used it. So you see here that I'm just using this, and the storage service. Yeah. Define the service. You don't have to define the service. It can also be static. But what is important is that here I have the hotel, and I'm creating here the new instance. So you will see it. He's reading this from the application properties. So I told you for me I'm using EclipseStore just file-based. So here the hotel is created. Hotel Sonne in Offenburg. It accepts credit cards. You have your domain object. Yeah. But it's empty, it's just a hotel. And what's then important here when you use EclipseStore is one of this pattern is to give this domain object or this object and later the object graph into the storage. And here it is started really. And what else is implemented? Just the store method. And you see here is the object, and I'll show you later why. So it's not needed like when you use standard JPA repositories and so on to have the entity in your pockets and then to say save. No, here it is more flexible. You could, on a totally high level, you could every time you do a change in your object model, object graph, you can just could store the hotel, but you can also store just the room or just attribute of the room or add a room to the room collection and so on. So you are totally flexible. That's the reason why here's an object. I don't know if it's best practice, but I hope it still is. So now I show you how such kind of workflow works, and booking is the most complex thing here, is the booking service. Let me do it this way. So a few methods. What's most important is I'm using some adapters, especially the database adapter for the storaging, and then here talking with the guest in the room and the pricing bounding context, fetching data, and here all bookings. Okay, it's lazy, langweilig. What do you say in English? Here's the get method, no, to get a booking, and the create booking. It's implemented this way. I get a booking object. I'm checking its validation. You remember it was not so easy busy. I know. No, normally we was, when you use REST controls and so on and services, of course you should use the Jakarta validation API, and this is also different implementable. I know it, but here I have no dependencies. I said, okay, make it easy busy for the conference. So here I'm checking for the booking. If it's not nice, bam, no? leave the or return with a 400, I think. I can check later. And then you are doing upset guests. I don't know if this makes sense in this way, but I implemented, so if a new guest is coming, okay, then he's also given, and no, here's from the booking object. I will show you the REST call later. You're upserting, and then we're checking if the room exists. So I get a REST call with the UUID or with an ID, and here's how it works. I'm calling the room adapter. It is just Java, yeah? Not a native query, native SQL query on anything. So no, finding by or else throw, blam 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 blam, and if it exists, I'm using the method of the room. So no, we saw it. This is directly in the room implemented, and I'm checking for the guests and the size and comparing. And then this is needed if you would like to have the full information of the room that is fetched here from the database. Thanks. Then you set it here. And what else I'm doing here? The setting price. So I'm getting the price of the room. Do you remember? It was the stuff of pricing port that I check for Christmas time and so on. If it's valid, I'm setting this price. And that is what's happening. And this is the saving then, and I'll show it to you. Here you see in this database adapter, I injected the storage service. You remember the storage service with the EclipseStore, and then you're doing the saving. And this is the saving. So I even set here, because a new booking, have the control about this. I give a technical key, and then you see how it works. I'm going to the storage service. I'm going to the hotel. I'm fetching the bookings. So I have the collection of bookings. Can be empty, doesn't matter. And then I'm adding the booking. That's it. So I changed just the here I changed just the hotel object, no, with all its dependencies, and here's how I save it. So here is then the stuff when you say to the storage manager of EclipseStore, now save it, please, and that's it. And deletion is simpler. So you get a booking ID. And you're just using Java. So, hey, give me all the bookings. Okay, stream. Okay, find someone that is matching with the ID. Hey, find first. If it's not there, bam, illegal argument exception. If it works, go to the hotel, go to the collection, and remove the booking with the ID. Bam. Very simple. Readable and whatever. Yeah. And of course, no, here you can do everything with the stream. It's clear, no? You can map and so on. So you are not, you're not limited. No, you can do everything what you do with Java. You would do here. So I have to hurry a little bit, right? Okay, I saw your tests. Believe me that the tests that you're running are extremely fast. I also wrote a Spring Boot test. Nevertheless, it takes just 600 milliseconds. Because of course the unit tests are extremely fast. We have this integration integration test. I can show you it's a little bit, well, integration test. Ah, come on, guy, where are you? Ah, here. Now here, do a little bit Spring Boot. No? So here I'm really auto-wiring the stuff and so on. Ah, no setup, okay. You can set up on your own what you like. And then you see that, yeah, here I'm calling the booking service. I have a booking here and you see from and to is okay. This UI provokes, okay. Here I having a UUID that does not exist. I put in the guest and simply the messages here, exceptions thrown that the room does not exist, no, because this is randomized. It does not exist. No, if I want that it exists, I would simply could here go to the room service. Wait, is it? Yeah, the room service. Not normally you could here go to the room service, and say, hey, create room, and then yeah, a room. Bam. No, and you could put here the ID if you like, ID. And you could put here the ID that you could use here, so no, then it would not fail. But this is how simple it is to write also the tests, yeah. And because it's a Spring Boot test, this test really starts an EclipseStore instance, and I can show it to you. So forget this is just helper methods for the test, but you're not limited here to anything. And I show you the other application properties I'm using for the tests. So and this is it. So this is the same like the production application properties looks like, but here I'm defining a test database, and I can also say, okay, let's have another JCON database, and let's run the tests. So of course they are successful. I think I have to whoop. Where's the reload? Ah, here. So, and when you check it, you see he created this, and this is now inside. So this is your EclipseStore database on the file system. And here's the data, and you can have more channels and so on. And hey, if you like, you can look into the dictionary, and then you will find also a representation of your stuff. So this is here used. This dictionary is used to model or for serializing a payment status or the booking itself. And you see here the stuff, and they use here some hash and so on. And you see here the all the attributes. So just an insight. Maybe you can check it later on your own. So this is how easy it is. So I'm when I want to test and even write integration tests with Spring Boot, I'm not forced to switch from a Postgres to H2 in-mem database or use test containers or whatever. Now, if I need a more database, bam, no, and I start the test, and he would create an EclipseStore directly in my file system, and I can use it. So and now I have to switch. Now I will start the application because I'm out of time. Where's my application properties? The other one. Here is it, main. So JCON. No, so this is a path. No, this is a path in the file system. SB hotel and JCON. Ah, it's here. No, I created already a database. Okay, let's start the service. Bam, it's a Spring Boot service. Nothing special. Relatively fast. I have Bruno here. And of course now I can, my colleague Ivan is here. No, I can, and please check here the times, yeah, because it's all in memory, no? So I'm creating Ivan, bam, yeah, get a UID back, and of course I can fetch him. Fetching all guests, no, this is with ID, fetching one guest, fetching guest, bam, have you seen? And now check also the response time. 70 milliseconds. Okay, let's try again. Bam, bam, 7, 6. Wow. Why is it so fast? Yeah, it's in memory. And the same, I can create a booking. I don't know. Maybe the data. Okay, the room does not exist. Okay, fetching all rooms. Bam, give me a room. Sunny side. So, bam, creating a booking. The room ID. Bam, can I create now? I can create. Let's check the price. 120. It's cheap. It's look here. It's a Christmas price. Okay, let's make it cheaper. Oh god, a long booking. Bam. Okay. And the status is paid. And when you check on the stuff, you will see here that I'm logging his stuff, and you see here also that the booking was created. There was there's an E missing. The payment was triggered. Yeah, with the publish subscribe stuff, call payment and so on. Send mail to guest. Do I have 2 more minutes? Eine? Okay, I have to hurry. So what is now important? So we have this JCON, and this is running, and you saw it is extremely fast. And now what I will do, let's first connect to the machine. Bam, 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 bam. Ja, unsichere Verbindung. Okay, check here the RAM usage. And now what I will do, and this is not REST, and it's documented, it's not. Now I'm bulk creation. I'm now creating guests. And let's switch here. And this makes sense, of course, no? Because it's everything in memory. It will consume more memory. Oh, ich muss mich wirklich beeilen. So let's check. Okay, created, no? 1,000 guests. Okay, 1 gig. Let's create more guests. And then we can do a count. Let's do the count directly. Count. Oh, it's slow. 1 second. Okay, that's very slow. The counting. Okay, 177 seconds. Slow. But here is happening a lot of stuff. Look here. How many memory it costs? But it costs memory. Yeah. This is one on the last slide. It costs just memory. Okay, maybe memory is cheaper than. Okay, so many guests. And now you want to say, hey, Mickey, this is really so fast. Yeah, give me guests, 1,000. And I say, boom. And you say, look, 29 milliseconds. Can you fetch 1,000 guests in so many? Let's do 2,000. Fup. No, this is a real list. Do you see it? 12 milliseconds. And let's crash Bruno. Bam. What? Okay, have you seen it? No, so many. What is this? 3 megabytes? Is it more? 3 gig? No, okay. Now, so you see it, it's extremely fast because it's in memory. And then we have to go back to the PowerPoint. Okay. So summary. We can model it. Feels natural. I will just read it. No, this is Java. We are Java developers. Let's do Java, not SQL. No SQL. And we can do everything with this. And you saw testing is so easy, and I love testing. And we can easy. So I migrated Spring Boot services to Eclipse. So it's so easy. You throw out the add entity, add table, all the stuff you do not need, and it's so easy. And go to the MicroStream guys. With more knowledge, you know the framework better. It has intensive RAM usage. You saw it, no? Of course, it's all RAM, and it's a question if RAM is better than an RDS on AWS. What I did not show is you can do lazy stuff. So ich muss das nur mal ganz kurz zeigen. So when you restart the machine, you will now see that it takes longer time, of course, because storage structure validated, whoa, no, deserializing, blah, 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 blah. With the Eclipse deserializer, whoa, a lot of memory. Boof! No, now he needs 13 seconds to start. It's clear, no? Because he started, but I did not use the lazy stuff. Wait. And you can do multi-threading stuff when you segment into channels. And of course, the last question, what is the best Java town? And the answer is, of course, this. And I would like for you guys, if you would like to try out EclipseStore and take your time to do a picture, blah, blah. On the right side, there will be repository slides and so on. On the left side, there are the questions. Habe ich keine Zeit mehr für, ne? Verdammt! Ja, later on. Was danach mal? So this is a way to set up different specific scenarios. Yeah. So you are this is Java objects. You can do any test scenario you like. Forget SQL. So think about just the domain and the objects you have. How can I view my object from outside my app? There's also a REST interface. Check it with the Microservices. I have not checked it. So they have also built now a simple CRUD stuff where can you access the data. Otherwise, implement it on your own. Just go to the hotel, go to the bookings, filter for the booking ID you like, or by first name, last name. I don't know. No.